This is Valley View News.
They're taking us into a Great Depression.
It's not working.
Occupy LA protesters have camped out on a section of lawn at City Hall.
This isn't a quick silent killer. It's one that moves in the background.
Many Los Angeles landmarks have been lighted blue for an anti-prostate cancer campaign. Governor Brown has signed a bill granting some illegal immigrants public aid for college.
Welcome to Valley View News. I'm Sarah Pila.
And I'm Myra Castaneda.
Some people are calling it the Tea Party for Democrats. The Occupy protest that started on New York City's Wall Street has spread to 25 cities nationwide. Valley View's Lori Bolivan spoke with some of LA's protesters about their complaints.
Protesters outside City Hall seem angry, but it's unclear what exactly they're angry about. The front lawn of LA City Hall is crowded with protesters and cardboard sign complaints about a mix of topics. They criticize politicians, government spending, wealth distribution, Wall Street bailouts, and war. There are so many messages, it's difficult to know what demonstrators are hoping to eventually accomplish. The front lawn of Los Angeles City Hall has been taken over by campground tents and picket signs. Protesters have set up camp for the Occupy LA movement.
America's got the best politicians money can buy.
They say they represent the 99% of Americans who refuse to tolerate the greed and corruption of the 1% that is corporate America. This huge turnout is inspired by the Occupy Wall Street protest that began in New York City last month. Demonstrators are frustrated with the nation's current economic situation.
We're at the beginning stages of it to protest the greed and the dominance of big Wall Street banksters over the rest of the world and how they're taking us into a Great Depression.
Alvaro Maldonado hopes for a more equal distribution of wealth.
Guess what? A mass movement is what's going to turn this around and put the wealth and let the wealth be shared by the folks who really create it, and let us decide how it should be, not big corporate capital, not the Democrats nor the Republicans.
We need a bailout.
Hespa Badala wants to know where her bailout is.
You know, we can bail big businesses out, but we the people are the business. If we turned off our TVs, stopped spending the little money that we have at the electronic stores, and then when big corporate America feel the pinch, they will see the change.
This group went out of their way to visualize their message.
At this moment, we are all standing in the same sheet to show that we are united but also different, and that we're all on the same page about wanting change.
This man says the very fundamentals of our economic system are to blame.
I really oppose capitalism as a system. I don't think that we should give them that much credit. It's not working. It's not working for most people. It's working for the 1%.
And some people weren't really sure why they're here.
I really have no message. I'm here trying to help out because I have the time.
Drivers passing by honk their horns to show support. Protesters say it's the country's core values that lie at the heart of the movement. The protest in front of City Hall in downtown Los Angeles is going on its second week. And by the looks of it, doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon, or at least not until protesters feel their voices have been heard. From downtown LA, I'm Lori Bolivan with Valley View News.
President Obama will meet with members of his council on jobs and competitiveness about how to create jobs in the struggling economy. Several of the members are the heads of companies that have reduced their workforce while still recording profits. Some economists say that this is evidence that the U.S. can no longer look to corporations to boost job growth. The White House says that members of the council serve regardless of their records and offer recommendations.
A majority of Americans now oppose giving President Obama a second term. That's according to a survey by the IBD TIP organization. It says many Americans are frustrated over the continued sluggish economy. 51% of those surveyed give Obama poor or unacceptable marks in creating jobs and economic growth. Obama's support among Democrats was 77%, which is considered quite low. Private and government forecasters expect the jobless rate to stay above 8% through 2012.
Governor Jerry Brown on Saturday granted some illegal immigrants access to state financial aid at public universities and community colleges. He signed the DREAM Act that allows immigrant students to start receiving state-funded financial aid beginning in 2013. The new law also makes students who are not legally in the country eligible for institutional grants for state universities. Students must graduate from a California high school and must be in the process for applying for U.S. citizenship.
A new law in California says girls will have to wait until they're 18 to use the tanning bed. Governor Jerry Brown has signed the bill into law. It will take effect January 1st. Under current law, children 14 and under in California already can't use the tanning beds, but those ages 15 to 17 can with their parents' permission. The Indoor Tanning Association says the new law will hurt business because tanners under 18 make up 5 to 10% of their customers. State and federal laws already regulate California tanning salons under some of the most stringent controls in the nation. That type of radiation from tanning beds can lead to melanoma, a deadly form of skin cancer. Early tanning by children can increase the risk.
It's almost wildfire season in the Southland, and the LA County Fire Department is ready to battle the flames this fall to keep structures safe. Jack Bryan reports on what fire officials are doing to promote fire safety.
Firefighting choppers made drops over Chatsworth Reservoir while the Los Angeles County Fire Department showed off some of their firefighting equipment to demonstrate the department's ability to keep up with whatever this year's fire season may hold in store. LA Fire Chief Brian Cummings held a press conference to promote fire safety across Southern California and to urge Californians to know what to do in case of an emergency.
I challenge every resident in the city of Los Angeles to have an emergency plan, to discuss that plan with each member of your family, and this is especially important in those wildland urban interface areas.
Dry brush combined with high-speed warm winds flowing in over the mountains makes areas like Chatsworth Lake Manor a potentially dangerous place for wildfires.
According to CAL FIRE, California wildfires burned 28,000 acres last year and destroyed more than 16 structures. Cummings asked homeowners in fire-prone areas to take some simple steps to protect their homes.
Prepare your property, cut back ornamental vegetation, and allow for 200 feet clearance around your house. The Los Angeles Fire Department wants to reassure you that we are prepared for this year's brush season. The question is, how ready are you?
Visit lafd.org to learn how to prepare yourself and your family for the worst-case scenario. In Chatsworth, Jack Bryant, Valley View News.
Investigators in the disappearance of a Missouri baby have restaged what could have been the kidnapping. Investigators staged the break-in to test one story of how baby Lisa Irwin went missing. Police say that they believe the reenactment may help prove or discredit the parents' story. Investigators pretended to be intruders and climbed through a window in order to gain access to the home. The break-in was difficult because the detectives had to be boosted through a window. The family publicized the 10-month-old's disappearance by passing out flyers to NASCAR fans. Flooding in Thailand could disrupt the export of automobiles and auto parts around the world. Thai officials say about 270 people have died in the flood since late July. Honda Motor Company and nearly 200 other factories have had to close in a central province. Honda officials told reporters it was too early to estimate the total cost of damage. Hundreds of cars that were waiting for delivery are underwater. Honda moved about 3,000 assembled cars to higher ground weeks ago. One Thai observer says Honda would be hit the hardest, but other manufacturers will also feel the disruption. Thailand is a major center for car production for many of the world's biggest manufacturers.
The president of Yemen says that he will step down from power, but his aides were quick to add he would only do so if a plan for transferring power was agreed upon. This came after anti-government protests flared across Yemen, demanding an end to President Salah's rule. Those calling for his ouster say Salah has promised to step down before.
At least 20 people have been killed in Egypt after military police and Coptic Christian protesters clashed. The violence started after the Christians' peaceful rally. Christians were protesting the burning of a church by Muslim radicals in southern Egypt. Police say one of their officers was shot dead and the protesters set military vehicles on fire and threw stones. One protester said they were attacked by people from nearby neighborhoods with stones and sticks. He also said military vehicles ran over many demonstrators. The violence is the deadliest since the revolution in February.
The men and women of an Encino Army Reserve unit are getting ready for duty in Afghanistan, and much of their training is centered on helping them survive in the war zone. Brandon Nakamini has more.
This doesn't look like your average Army training. That's because these aren't your average soldiers. They're part of a specialized reserve unit called Civil Affairs, and they're taking a break from their civilian jobs to prepare for a year-long deployment to Afghanistan. These soldiers work with people from government agencies like the State Department to build projects in Afghanistan, and they're preparing to deploy by taking medical, chemical, and foreign relations classes. Sergeant Anthony Anderson teaches the soldiers how to apply a splint. He says it's important for all soldiers to know how to treat injuries.
Sometimes they're first on the scene, just like a first responder anywhere else. They need to know at least the basics to keep the person alive.
Knowing how to use gear like gas masks is another necessity to stay alive on deployment. But preparing to deploy doesn't involve just learning about Afghanistan and doing training. The soldiers also have to go through medical screenings where they get vaccinations and have to give blood. In addition to that, they have to fill out paperwork to make sure their life insurance plans are up to date. The soldiers are taught about a program called the Family Readiness Group, and Sergeant Aaron Sanders says the program offers a wide range of services to military families during deployments,
which includes financial services, counseling, any sort of resume services or job finding services. We can help with all of that.
These programs help the soldiers transition home when they return from their deployment. First Sergeant George Guerra is the team leader for the deploying unit. He says this wide range of training is necessary for his soldiers to return home safely.
Very, very important to be able to heal and be able to shoot just the same.
Now, the soldiers we've seen have much more training ahead of them. They will receive 3 months of intensive training before actually going overseas. Back to you.
Airlines are facing a lack of demand, with profits falling worldwide except for in Europe. The CEO of the International Air Transport Association says there is not a lot of optimism for improved conditions anytime soon. The demand fell about 1.5% in August from July, and the airlines have cut flights.
Boeing's first 787 Dreamliner has been on display at Seattle's Museum of Flight. More than 2,000 people came to get a closer look at the fuel-efficient jet. The Dreamliner reportedly used 20% less fuel than other jetliners and goes just as fast. These 787s went through an extensive flight program to test the new technology. Recently, All Nippon Airways was the first to receive the new airliners.
Coming up, details on the newest iPhone and coverage of the noontime concert at CSUN. Stay with us.